What's up, guys? DLE Kamel here, and I am here to talk about my favorite deck, Adamancipator, baby. Now, I know you guys know that Adamancipator just received a hit on the newest Master Duel ban list. So we're going to go over what changes you can make to your Adamancipator deck, what got hit on the ban list, what I think about the ban list of how the ban list affects this deck going forward, and what are some easy replacement options for the cards that got hit. So first we're going to talk about the cards in Adamancipator that got hit, and then we'll move from there. Let's get into it. Okay, so Adamancipator received 3 total card nerfs. Really only 1 within the deck itself, but 3 cards that the deck does make use of. So I'm going to start with the most important card because, it is often the most divisive, but I think it's the most hands down one you can make a call on your own, and that is Sekkas Light. Sekkas Light was limited to 2, so Sekkas Light allows you to draw 2 cards if you have no spells or traps in your graveyard, and then for the rest of the duel you cannot activate any spell or traps except for Sekkas Light. Then you can banish it from your graveyard, reveal a monster in your hand, shuffle it into the deck, and then draw an extra card. So you get 3 cards total off of this 1 card for the cost of not being able to activate any spell or traps for the rest of the duel. And I know many people have this in their Adamancipator deck, but let me tell you right now, guys, take this dog shit card out of your deck. It is bad. Let me tell you, I used to run 3 Sekkas Light in my Adamancipator deck as well, but Sekkas Light is no longer in my deck because I believe that if you have a Adamancipator deck that is built with good ratios to ensure that you always have an opening play with rock monsters and or tuners and or Adamancipators, then you don't really need Sekkas Light to net you 2 cards. What you need instead is you need something to take care of the weaknesses of Adamancipator. And this is where I put in cards like Call by the Grave, Lightning Storm, extra hand traps if you see fit. The issue with Sekkas Light is that it doesn't help you in a situation in which you would not be good already. What it does is it turns bricks or mediocre hands into very good hands. But I don't think that's really what you're looking for in Adamancipators out of a support card. The base deck itself is already so good at comboing and extending and getting lucky off excavations and, using very impactful effects with what you already have, such as Doki Doki. I just don't think Sekkas Light comes up as much. When it was at 3, I think it was much more justifiable so that you would always see its effect. But now being brought down to 2, I just don't think that it is worth losing all access to spell and trap cards or something like this, especially because there are very impactful spell and trap cards that you can play in place of Sekkas Light, namely Called by the Grave, probably the most broken spell or trap, one of the most broken spell and trap cards in the game. It's limited to 2 because you can just negate hand traps. You can negate Max C and Ash Blossom, which are death sentences to Adamancipator. Adamancipator may be a very good deck, but it is extremely volatile and easy to just end the duel if you have a hand trap. Call by the Grave says that you will not have to deal with Max C or Ash. While this card is limited to 2, guess what? It's a perfect substitute for Sekkas Light. It'll actually save you and win you duels where you were going to lose. Now, let's say you had 3 Sekkas Light in your deck before. I would definitely look at replacing Sekkas Light if you need a consistency option with Adamancipator Signs. I actually have an Adamancipator Signs here because I was trying it out, but I do think you need to run many copies of this card in order to really see its power, so you can open it in your opening hand. But yeah, definitely look towards playing more impactful spell and traps that will do things to help you win the duel. Another spell and trap card that I recommend you run is the Forbidden Droplet. Send any number of cards from your hand or field to the graveyard, and then you choose that many effect monsters and you negate it. If you send a monster from your hand to the grave, your opponent cannot respond to it with monsters. Same for spells and traps. Forbidden Droplet, amazing, and it's about to be put in a selection bundle. The other one I have for you here is Cross Out Designator. I don't have any on this account, but this card is absolutely busted. I run many different hand traps in my deck. I run Maxi, Ash, and Nibiru. With Cross Out Designator, I can negate Maxi, Ash, and Nibiru via this effect by banishing one of the copies of those cards from my deck. I can negate that effect for the rest of this turn. Extremely versatile and in a pinch, especially because you do run the hand traps that are so good against your deck. You run them yourself in your deck, so it all ends up pretty good. So Sekkas Light, wanted to get that out of the way first. Really not worth it. Do not stress it. I do not see that as a nerf to this deck. All right, moving forward, Prank Kids Roxy's was limited to 2. The Prank Kid Link monsters themselves were not limited, but Prank Kid Roxy's was limited to 2. Now, Prank Kid Roxy's is not in every single Adamancipator deck, but it is played in some. And I'll let you know right away that you have a couple options when it comes to Prank Kids. So what I did, I lowered my Prank Kid Roxy's to 2 to make it legal, and then I added in a third Doki Doki. And I did that because Doki Doki has an effect where all you have to do is discard any level 4 or level 4 rock, and then you can summon a level 4 rock from your deck. You discard a level 2 rock, you can summon a level 2 rock from your deck. So this is good if you have any other level 4 and you want to set up your Roxy's Prank Kid engine, you could do that, no problem. Another thing you could do, if Prank Kid Roxy's going down to 2 is just not going to work for you, something that I was put onto is that right now in the TCG, because Adamancipators do not have access to Block Dragon, they're actually using Parallel Exceed in their decks, which is funny because this card says if this card is special summoned by its own effect, it becomes level 4. Its attack and defense are halved. But this effect really just lets you spam this monster. If you link summon, you can special summon this card from your hand to their zone that the link monster points to. And if this card is normal or special summon, you can special summon a Parallel Exceed from your deck. So it kind of just forgoes all of the, chain summoning and banishing from your hand and doing that with Prank Kids. And it essentially does the same thing. When you summon Prank Kids Roxy's, you go into a link monster, and then that link monster, when you use your first Prank Kid, you banish a card from your hand, then you summon another Prank Kid. Then you link again, then you summon another Prank Kid. So you essentially got 3 summons with 2 monsters on the field. Afterwards, this does the exact same thing. Special summons itself after you make a link summon, and then you can get another one out once it is special summoned. So very nice. And it still works at 3 if you don't want to use Roxy's, but if you would like to still use Roxy's because of the added synergy with it being a rock monster, then go ahead and use 2 Roxy's and 3 Doki Doki. I think that is sufficient enough for you, and your deck should still be just as consistent. I was running this deck in gold and plat, and dude, to be honest, I was still opening my Roxy's, and when I was opening my Roxy's, I was opening that Doki Doki to get to my Roxy's. All right. So next and last is Adamancipator Analyzer, which is the only Adamancipator core card itself that made it onto the ban list. And I do not think that this ban is so broken, but let me kind of explain my thought process on it. I believe that for this ban list, Konami was not really trying to hurt these decks significantly or put them in the dumpster. What they were trying to do is make these decks more in tune with their identity and make sure that these decks only play well when they are supposed to play well. What do I mean by that? I mean, Adamancipator is a going first deck, hands down. This deck plays the best when your opponent has no way to respond to your many chain summons from your deck and your extra deck and your multiple effects that must resolve in order for you to continue to special summon. Adamancipator Analyzer is a card that states if your opponent controls a monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, meaning that it is an extremely good card to draw when you are going second. It is actually your best option to draw when going second, because then, you know, on top of this special summon, you normally do have to normal summon at least, you know, one rock monster or an Adamancipator tuner to start you off. If you're going second and you open Analyzer, you get a free special summon followed by an Excavate. Even if you have no other resources, you are already significantly ahead of your opponent in the resource game. That is now taken away by Analyzer going to 2, which means that effectively you're going to open this card less, which means you won't see it on turn 2 as much, which means it's not going to be able to give you that resource advantage on turn 2 when you need it consistently. Because while losing Pranked Roxy's was bad, you can still get out of Roxy's and get the same benefit of it from Doki Doki. Analyzer, you can't get the same benefit from it if you're less likely to open it, if opening it is, you know, when this card is at its best. So Analyzer is at 2. What do you do? Well, you have some options, and I hate to say it, guys, but there really is no good answer. I would take a look at a card like Adamancipator Signs. It lets you target one rock monster in your graveyard and special summon, and if it's an Adamancipator, you can then stack your deck for your next, to make sure your Excavate will at least have one targetable rock monster in your next 5. Something else that I also learned during the Synchro event is my homeboy Plague Spreader Zombie over here, and this dude says if this card is in your graveyard, you can place one card from your hand on the top of the deck, special summon this card, but banish it when it leaves the field. Now, while this doesn't do the same thing as Analyzer being a free special, it is a free special summon, and it does stack your deck, which synergizes very well, and it is a level 2 tuner, which you do need for your Synchro plays, as well as your Crystron Halka Fibrax plays, which requires you to have a tuner. The other thing that I would recommend that you do is, if you are playing Tenyi Spirit Adhara, then ramp it up, play another copy, or if you aren't playing Adhara, I would consider playing it. I was asked on stream why I play this card the other day, and I play this card simply for this boy over here, Crystron Halka Fibrax. Tenyi Spirit Adhara is a level 1 tuner that is special summonable only if you control no effect monsters. It doesn't matter what your opponent has, you just have to control no monsters. And then you immediately link it off for your Crystron Halka Fibrax. Since we are losing an Analyzer, maybe adding another Tenyi Spirit is good, because it does promote that part of your strategy instead. Right, you're losing an Excavation. Well, you put in another Tenyi Spirit. It makes summoning Crystron Halka Fibrax easier, since that is a core part of your combo. And guys, that is just about it for the changes. I want to let you know though, I will be putting my Adamancipator video up. I'm going to be putting a card for it, and the link is also going to be in the description. I didn't want to break down the deck fully because that video is very long. There's a lot of good information there. So if you really want to learn how to play Adamancipators, I would definitely recommend that you check out that video. It's got a combo breakdown and it's got gameplay. I just wanted to go over what I think are the best changes for the ban list, especially because I don't think that this ban list hit Adamancipator too much. They just wanted to make sure that this deck is definitely a going first deck, and it doesn't have so much more of the, you know, power and resource gain than it did going second than it used to have. Now you really have to lean into this deck going first. So guys, in conclusion, this deck didn't get hit too hard. Play 3 Doki Doki, play Tenyi Spirit Adhara, lean into using Crystron Halka Fibrax with Adhara, ditch Sekkas Light. If you do nothing else that I told you to do in this video, ditch Sekkas Light, take it out of your deck, replace it with cards like Lightning Storm, Call by the Grave, Forbidden Droplet, Crossout Designator, replace them with those cards, and you will be good to go. Peace out, guys. Let me know if you have any questions about the deck in the comments. I will be glad to answer them. Peace out. Have a good night.